what we're going to do is take a look at one of the source books and see if we can sort of figure out what is going on with some of the stuff. And so if we look at this, and we won't read all of it, but we're going to read some of it. So Wild Magic. This is from a second edition book that was published. One of the newest discoveries of Forgotten Realms is wild magic, originally considered little more than an unfortunate byproduct of an epic struggle amongst the gods. Strange effects in the wild lands have attracted attention of many curious scholars and wizards, right? So, two types of wizards drawn. The first type are researchers who devote their study to the theoretical underpinnings of magic. For them, wild magic exposed long hidden secrets of magic universe and gave insights into how magic functions. Now we talk about this in terms of like the weave. In Dungeons and Dragons, magic is basically the weave, right? And the weave is the created or managed by the goddess Mystra, and the weave can be fractured, and the weave can be like duplicated in various ways by magical artifacts and things like that. But for the most part, it's the weave. When we get Myth Draenor, the expansion, the wizards in the original source lore experimented with magic, not necessarily wild magic, but magic, and made this sort of sentient magic that is called a mythal. And some of the effects in an individual mythal can behave like this wild magic that we're seeing. But I think this source material predates that stuff, so I'm not sure that we'll actually see the word mythal or weave or anything like that, but we'll continue to read. Like I said, this is second generation, second edition, so this was quite a while ago. But I think a lot of the stuff that was sourced here, and we'll see why when we read on. And like I said, we're not going to read everything, but we'll read a bunch. The second type of wizard that drawn to the wild lands are less rigorous and methodical. So apparently there was some wild land. Now I'm wondering if that was a part of the Forgotten Realms or if it was some sort of like extra, like an additional plane, like the Feywild or something like that. I'm not sure how they're using it. It's not capitalized. It's just wildland. So it could just be like any sort of wild land, like the way they talk about that in the Lord of the Rings, where you go out into the wild and now you're out, you're in the wild basically, like what Aragorn tells to the hobbits, like you're not in Hobbit anymore, you're, out in the world. So, but it doesn't read like that here. Okay, so then the initial wild magic was discovered on Toril. Does anybody in chat know what Toril was? Was that like an island or a separate continent? I've never heard of it. It says Toril was the Forgotten Realms campaign world. The art of wild magic quickly spread to other places. Wild mages, through teleporting, spell jamming, planar hopping, even walking, carried the precepts of wild magic to other lands far removed from Toril. So I don't know anything about the campaign world of Toril, but it sounds interesting. Makes me feel like maybe I'll just do a quick Google search and just see if I can find a talk point. Brackart, Forgotten Realms lore guy. It's a continent in the Forgotten Realm. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so Ebir Toril is a fictional planet that makes Forgotten Realms Dungeons and Dragons campaign setting. Oh, it's similar to Al-Qadim and Mazdaqa. First edition Oriental Adventures campaign setting. The word Toril comes from Cradle of Life in an archaic fictional language of the setting. Interesting. 1978. It looks like it was added to Faerun. It's really interesting. And now Toril is the default world of the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't know that. So that's great. So it looks like what it was retconned for the 4th edition and the 5th. It looks like there's a lot here. So maybe at some point we'll go into the lore of Toril, since it is like the default 5th edition world for D&D. But essentially, for our purpose here right now tonight, this is where the wild magic originally was developed. Wild mages are no means specialists. They do not study within the confines of schools. Instead, they research new theories of wild magic carried into all different fields. Wild magic has strength in some areas, but not confined to any school. Proponents of the wild magic proudly trumpet the art's broad-based flexibility to great advantage. Of course, these advocates are quick to downplay wild magic's drawbacks. First and foremost, it's wild magic. Rare occasions, spells have dangerous, unpredictable results, including backfiring or creating an entirely different effect from what was desired. Well, they did a good job at implementing that in DDO, because that's exactly how I would describe how I can be casting a spell and suddenly I'm warped out into a different dimension, and my spells don't have any effect on the mobs that I'm attacking because I'm no longer, I'm for some reason shifted, or I'm polymorphed into a rat and now I can't do anything but squeak. Yeah, so magnitude of the spell, range, damage, duration, effect may fluctuate. Spells cast by wild mages are inherently unpredictable. Only characters with intelligence 16 or greater qualify to become wild mages, so they clearly dropped that requirement. No restrictions on alignment. Okay, I don't think they have a alignment restriction. They did not make it so that gnomes have any better understanding of wild magic. It says here, wild magic, the race of a wild mage is limited to those races with competency in magic. That makes sense. Wild mages must abide by normal restrictions. Yep, that makes sense. Several abilities, like specialist wild mages, are okay. They can memorize extra spells, and we've kind of seen that. So I'm wondering if this extra spell slot was how they implemented the multiple SLAs that we have, and we really now are like I've said it before, Chaos Mancers and probably Wild Mages in general are really good at managing mana because their SLAs are so great. So I think that it would be, you could make an argument that this is a good translation of that right there. The fact that they got extra spells and our mana management in TDO now is really good. They receive a plus 10% bonus when learning new spells and a minus wild spells and minus when learning regular spells. I don't think they implemented anything in TDO that does anything like this. Wild magic is fast and loose. Yeah, they didn't really, they don't care whether we take normal spells or wild spells. They didn't implement any system that has anything like this. Certain magical items function differently in the hands of a wild mage. Now, I have not tried this. Has anybody tried this? If you use a wand of wonder or a potion of wonder, in this rule book here, there's a 50% chance to control one of those devices. I have not tried. That's something that I think we should try. I have potions of wonder, and I will go on my ship and go and try some out. You can actually do that. Maybe somebody else has tried. I haven't played around with it, but so let's, you know what? Let's go. Somebody just waved to me. Sorry, I don't know if it was a viewer, but I was already in the middle of doing that recall. So I didn't have a chance to wave back. They'll probably say like, yeah, I waved to Mary in game and he completely ignored me. Bro. It's not my fault. It was this stupid thing puts you on a 5-second cooldown. You can't stop it. Let's see. Do I have wonder potions? I do. So, according to the rule book there, right, I should have a chance to control some of the effects. But we're going to see what happens. Cannot do that in public. Alright, so we'll go back to Sharn. I don't have a Wand of Wonder. I'll save one if I find it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we're gonna go down and we're gonna drink some wonder potions and see if my being a wild mage has any effect on these. So here are the potions right here. You can see I have 62 of them. And that literally did nothing. Let's see if I can find an effect. Right? Okay, I was hit by a potion of wonder, but didn't really do anything. Alright, I got +3 strength. I healed. I feel heavy gravity. That's cool. I'm exhausted. I mean, in a lot of ways, these potions of wonder function. I just got energy drain 4 negative levels. Like, they're doing a lot of similar things, but it's different. And my being a wild mage is not making it any better. I will drink a potion now. I just got ear smashed. Okay, I got energy resist colds. That's pretty cool. That lasts for 24 minutes, man. That's a long time for one little level 1 potion. Oh, the caster level for these is level 25. That explains that. I just summoned a bunch of knives that are trying to kill me. They are doing a lot of damage. Wow. I'm actually really impressed. That 165 points of damage. I'm like super impressed by that because they are not holding back. Like these blades are legit trying to kill me. So if you were on the hardcore league, that would be really, really dangerous. Yeah. I would not drink a wonder potion on hardcore. Did nothing. Oh, dude, 8 negative levels. That is insane. That is a lot. Okay, so as fun as the wonder potions are, my being a wild mage isn't augmenting or affecting or allowing me to control these. This basically is, although that's a really good effect right there. It's, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the randomness of the effects, but it's not, my being a wild mage isn't changing it really at all. So that was the whole point, because in this text, right, in this text, it says that wild mages can control the following items 50% of the time, thereby allowing them to select the result. So that was a Wand of Wonder, Potion of Wonder, and then also these items: Amulet of the Plains, Bag of Beans, Bag of Tricks, Deck of Illusions. So Deck of Illusions would be the deck of many things in our game. So it makes me wonder, and there is the Deck of Many Things right there. So 50% chance to control and allow them to select the result. I mean, if they allowed wild mages in DDO to selectively choose things from the deck of many things, that would be fantastic. My understanding of it is that they did not implement it that way. However, I'd be really curious to know if anybody tried, right? Because we're seeing it is something that was in this old rule book. So if they use this rule book as source material, it could be that they put that in the game as an Easter egg that people just haven't discovered yet. Okay, level variations, and this is something that we may see, and we're not going to read through all of this, but it's the gist of it is a level 7th wild mage casts a fireball, and if they make it, it looks like they have a variation table that allows it to function as if cast by a higher level. And we actually do see that in DDO. We see that here because in the wild magic tree, as we level up, we gain caster levels. So there's a +1 caster level. There's a +1 caster level. And there's a +1 caster level. So it's at least +3 caster levels. So when you're level 7, casting a spell, once you're at level 20, you're at 3 caster levels higher. So that's good to know. So they did sort of implement that. And here's the old table. They don't really do stuff like this in our game, but this is a really interesting table because this is wild surge results, right? So let's see if there's anything on this list that we see in the game. They have, you roll a D100 and there's 100 different things that can happen. It looks like they have each number, right? They literally have 100 different things that can happen. So we'll read through some of them. Wall of Force appears in front of the caster. We have not seen that. I have not seen that. I have not seen my character smell like a skunk, but I mean, they do things like that with the pumpkin head, with the iron pot, with the green poison. The caster shoots poisonous snakes from their fingertips. The snakes do not attack. Well, we've seen the squirrels. We'll see if the squirrels are on here. The caster's clothes itch, which basically translates into +2 initiative. They glow with a light spell. That's cool. The spell effects have 60% radius centered on the caster. That's probably not good, especially if it's something like a fireball. Next phrase spoken by the caster becomes true. And that's really cool. That's not anything that they could implement in our game, but that's really cool from a role-playing perspective. Your hair grows, you pivot 180 degrees. So a lot of these are just basically like interesting and cool things for role-playing, but nothing really that affects the actual game. This here character develops an allergy to magic items. I mean, that's something that's really interesting from a roleplay perspective, but it wouldn't be practical to implement in an MMO, obviously. Having your head enlarge, that's really funny. And they actually do that where we grow and we shrink. So it's not our head, but it is like our character model will double in size or go down to like a fourth of its normal size. Caster falls madly in love with the target. We don't have anything like that, but it would be really cool if we did. They need to remove curse spell to not be in love with the target anymore. We do have a lot of curses, though, that pop up. Like I said, I've already drank probably like 60 or 65 remove curse potions since I've been level 15 and now I'm level 23. So I'm going through a lot. Random polymorphs, we do see that. I polymorphed into a rat. Colorful bubbles, we've seen colorful bubbles. So it looks like they extrapolated on this and took it, and now a bunch of our spells actually do colorful bubbles. Spells with verbal components cannot be cast. It doesn't really affect our spell casting like that, though. Reverse tongues, that's cool. We don't have tongues, but that would be really cool if all of a sudden our character just didn't understand anything that was being said. That would be cool. We have not seen a wall of fire encircle a caster, but there are other effects similar to that. The caster's feet enlarge, nothing like that. Although that would be really cool. Same spell effect as the target. We have seen negative effects, like I've had Auto's Irresistible Dance cast on me. Cause fear, maybe, well, I have not had a fear effect on me, and I wear fear immunity, but I also wear blindness immunity. I've been blinded, so I have not yet procced a fear effect. It's possible that there are fear effects and I just haven't procced them yet. Character speaks in a squeaky voice. That's a RP thing. That's really funny. X-ray vision. That's cool. I mean, it would be cool if they, in our game, if we got true seeing. We don't really need it though, because most of us will probably have it already. But like a level 2 wild mage that procs true seeing, that would be cool. Aging 10 years, that's like the DM trolling the player, right? Like, we don't have anything like that, but I think that's cool. Silence, I haven't seen that. If all of a sudden I couldn't cast spells. I have seen some weird effects that keep me from casting spells, but maybe that's what's happening. Maybe when I try to cast and can't cast, maybe I'm being silenced. Yeah, that's interesting, sci-fi guy. Hey, bubbles that come out of your mouth act like silence. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some weird things in GDO, so maybe we are being silenced, because we do have silence effects in GDO. Oh my god, I would love the next one in GDO. I would absolutely fucking love it. A 10 by 10 pit appears immediately in front of the caster. Yeah. That would be so cool. If you could just randomly spawn pits that people could fall in, that would be cool. Reverse gravity would also be really cool. If all of a sudden everyone standing near you was just like magnetized or whatever, reverse gravity to the ceiling, that would be super, super cool. Colored streamers pour from your fingertips. Yeah, we've got effects like that. A lot of the bubble rainbow of wild magic, we see stuff like that. I have seen confetti blowing up around me too. Caster becomes invisible. I have not seen that. We should have that though. That actually seems like that's a no-brainer to have. Spell effect rebounds, I think that's also a good one that we could have, although it would be super annoying, especially if it was like a damaging spell, like if you cast it and it rebounded back to you. But I think it makes sense to have something like that. Color spray we have, yep. Stream of butterflies, I've seen that. Now, it had not from my mouth, but I've seen the butterflies. Caster leaves monster-shaped footprints on the ground instead of their own. That's really cool, but we don't have anything like that. This one here, you shoot gems from your fingertips. That creates money. How cool would that be? How cool would it be as you cast a spell and instead of getting a fireball, you just started spewing platinum out and people could just pick it up? I think that would be really cool for the Halloween event. Music, you randomly spawn music. I think that's great. I think we could certainly have that as a wild magic effect. Yeah. Oh, you sci-fi guy, you've seen improved invisible. That's great. I have not seen that. That's an effect I have not seen, but I'll keep my eyes out for it. So you've seen improved invisible. That's great. All the normal fires are extinguished, so that would be something that actually would probably be helpful, because there are a few quests in GDO where you actually need to put out some fires, right? So that would be sort of a useful effect. One magic item within 30 feet of the caster is permanently drained. So I think that's not a bad idea, right? Like if you were carrying a wand and it just would just drain the wand and make it useless. I mean, it would be a pain, but they certainly could do something like that. A lot of these are weird, kind of like the Deck of Many Things effects, but all magic items within 30 feet of the caster are increased by +2 for 1 turn. That's not bad. Smoke trickles from the ears of all creatures within 60 feet of the caster. That's really cool. Dancing Lights. We don't really have Dancing Lights as a spell, although it's an iconic Dungeons & Dragons spell, and I kind of think they should have it. Baldur's Gate had it. That would just randomly spawn a dancing light. I think that would be great. All creatures within 30 feet begin to hiccup. That also would be great, especially if you could make all the little kobolds and waterworks get the hiccups and they actually just started spawning little hiccup bubbles. I think that would be really cool. All normal doors, secret doors, portcullises within 60 feet of the caster swing open. That's great. That would be a really cool effect, especially if you were dungeon crawling and, you know, come across like a locked door. Caster and target exchange places. That would be really cool, and they certainly could do that in TDO. Random target, a spell effect within 60 feet of the caster, random. So the thing about this in tabletop is that it could be a party member. We don't have friendly fire though, so it really wouldn't matter. But I know they have talked about friendly fire, so if they ever did that, that would be cool. The spell fails, but is not lost. So we have mana. We don't have the spell wipe from memory thing. We have mana. So the spell fails, but doesn't cost any mana. They easily could do that. Summon a monster. So I've not seen it summon a monster, but I have seen it summon little pet, like little rats and stuff. Now the rats don't do anything. I'm not quite sure what they are, but it would be cool. I think summoning a monster actually would be cool. I think it should be like an ooze or something like that. I think that would be cool. Suddenly change the weather would be fantastic. I would love it if I could cast a spell and make it rain in the dungeon. I think that would be great. I think they certainly could do that too, because they added a weather mechanic to GDO like a decade ago. A long time ago, we didn't have weather and we didn't have like a day-night cycle, but now we do. So they certainly could add that. Deafening bang affects everyone 60 feet. All those who can hear must make a save or spells or be stunned. That would be good. I haven't seen that one, but it certainly would be something in line with stuff that I've seen in the game. Caster and target exchange voices. Okay, I mean, that's really cool from an RP perspective, but it wouldn't matter for our game at all. But it's yet another curse, so that makes sense then why we see all the curses that we're seeing, because I've seen a lot of curses, right? I've seen the personal storm. Yeah, I've seen the personal storm. Okay, and the squirrels give a nearby caster 50% spell fail. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've experienced the spell fail. I thought it was a lucky squirrel and an unlucky squirrel, and if you killed the unlucky squirrel, the next spell that would like crit, and if you killed the lucky squirrel, then you would have the unlucky squirrel alive, and then your next spell would fail. So, but that was just a guess. This here opens a gate and a 50% chance for like a demon to come through it. So like an angry moose just pops up through a gate. I think they certainly could do that. That would be very easy for them to do. Spell functions but shrieks like a shrieker. Okay, they could do that. Yeah, it wouldn't really matter for us, but I mean, it's something that they could do. The spell effectiveness is decreased. It seems like they have done that, because I have some spells that are just they don't work. The spell effect is reversed if possible. Okay. I don't know if that means like reversed in the sense you cast a fireball and it becomes like an ice storm. I don't know if they mean that, or reversed in like a heal and then it harms, that kind of a reverse. But they could do that in TDO. I haven't seen anything like that, but they certainly could. The spell takes the physical form of a free-willed elemental and cannot be controlled by the caster. The elemental remains for the duration of the spell. I've not seen anything like this, but I think it's very cool. I would love to see like a magic elemental pop up and just hang out and then disappear. That would be super cool. I think it would be very cool if weapons suddenly started glowing. I think that would also be a really cool effect. That they could do. You know, they could, although I don't know in DDO, could they add a temporary glamour to a weapon and then take it off after a round? I don't know. But spell functions, saving throws are not allowed. That's great. Seems like they should do that. Like for a spell that has a save, just to remove the save. That would be cool. The spell appears to fail, but then casts 1 to 4 rounds later. That would be cool, although it would be more probably annoying. And I don't think we'd actually even really notice it because we spam spells so much and so often. But it is something that they could implement just to put a delay. There's another items glow, which, you know, I mean, they would just basically have to make it so that it applied a permanent glamour to the weapon. Slow centered on the target seems like something they easily could do, and I'm sure they may have actually even done it. I just haven't seen it yet, although I have seen some effects that make me run slower. Diluted, I haven't seen anything where I like go insane or like have any sort of fear effect. Maybe somebody out there has seen something like that. I have not seen darkness. I think that would be great too. That's something that I think that they should add to the game. The darkness spell would be really cool. Plant growth, we definitely have stuff like that, so they could implement it where they could make it like a spike growth or one of those like thorn things that just pops up around you. That certainly could do that. Same thing with the fireball. They easily could do that. I have been turned to stone, so I've literally seen this one. So they have used this one. Like I've been turned to stone. I was only turned to stone for like 5 seconds. I kind of think though that this may be a hot take, but I kind of think it should be permanent. Like I think I should be turned to stone, and then I need somebody to come and like unpetrify me. I mean, that's how it used to be in the old days. Like, if you got turned to stone, you needed somebody in your party to rescue you. Otherwise, that character was bricked. That's why there's the clerics and all the inns, because you would go there and have them fix you. Like, you'd have somebody lead you to the inn blind, and then you'd have to go and have the cleric if nobody in the party could remove the blindness, because the blindness was like a permanent effect. The good old days of the first year of DDO when effects are permanent. But I have been turned to stone. It only lasts 5 seconds. A spell is cast and you spend no materials on it. They easily could do that. Yeah, I mean, we already have feats and stuff that let us do that, so why not? Everyone within 10% receives a heal. They did do that with our unicorn cuddle puddle. We have exactly that. So, I mean, this is why I wanted to look at this list here, because it looks like while they didn't implement all of this stuff, they definitely have a lot of this stuff we're seeing. Target becomes dizzy and cannot cast spells. Well, they do have that magical disease that makes you ill, and you have to remove it. It debuffs you. We've not seen the wall of fire, and this one has shown up a few times with the wall of fire, the ring of fire encircling. I have not seen levitate, although they certainly could do that in the game. Blindness, I have seen that they do the cast iron pot on your head that blinds you. Having a target charmed, I've not seen where the target forgets. So that would be more like a confusion effect where they would just stop attacking you and just wander off. They easily could do that, but I've not seen it. Feet enlarged, so they enlarge and they reduce us as a whole, our whole character. They don't do individual body parts. Rust monster appears. That would be scary if you were a wild magic warforged. My understanding is that that doesn't happen though, but that would be cool. Polymorphed. I've been polymorphed randomly. I haven't cast a spell on something and randomly polymorphed it. I saw that in Baldur's Gate 3 when I made a wild magic sorcerer there. Like I would cast a fireball on an orc and turn it into a sheep. But I haven't seen it in DDO. Target falls madly in love with the caster until Dispel Magic is cast. I mean, that would be really cool if you went to, you know, cast like a fireball on a kobold, and instead of a fireball, it was a love spell, and then the kobold just followed you around like an NPC who fought for you instead. I mean, that would be super enjoyable as like a mechanic in the game, but it doesn't seem like something they'd actually do. You've seen some monsters get polymorphed. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, I kind of would. I think they should give us the polymorph spell. Like, clearly, they can do it. It's in the game, in the rules. Like, it's a spell, polymorph, mass polymorph. There's all sorts of different effects to change yourself into a different creature, change monsters into different creatures. I think it's something that we should have access to if you want to, you know, turn an orc into a sheep. I think that would be, why not? You should be able to do it if you want. That type of spell in the game just makes it more fun. Changing the target sex, I don't think that would really matter for our. They certainly could do it where, you know, you temporarily change or the target changes. I think it would be enjoyable just from a role-playing perspective, but probably not something that they would even bother to implement. The Black Rain Cloud, they have implemented this. We have this. So there's another one directly. Like they do that. Yes, I've had that happen to me. The Stinking Cloud, I have had that green screen disease. So while it's not necessarily a stinking cloud, it's similar. A heavy object appears over the target and falls for damage. I've not seen anything like that. It's a cool idea though. You cast a spell on a target that just begins sneezing and it has a sneezing fit. It would be nice to be able to give a kobold the sneezing fit. I think that would be cool. 60% spell effect radius centered on the target. Okay. We've seen this one before. +2 initiative because your clothes are itchy. It looks like a bunch of these are repeating now. You randomly change your race of the target. So if you were casting a spell on a kobold, you could turn it into a dragon or something like that. That would be really, that would be cool effects. Probably scary, especially if it was like a permanent change. Because we don't have we do have Dispel Magic, but not something like that. They'd probably make it temporary, but it would be a cool effect. Turning ethereal, I have seen something where I shift and become like ethereal. Yeah, I go into like the Shadowfell. I've seen that. I have not seen haste. I think it's a great idea. I think it should work like that. Yep, absolutely. All cloth on the target crumbles to dust and you're just naked. I think that would be funny. I don't think they'd ever do anything like that, but I think it would be cool. Target sprouts leaves. I've not seen anything like that, but I think that would be funny. If you could turn a kobold into a shrub, that would be funny. This target sprouts new appendages, wings, arms, ears. That would be cool too. The target changes color. That would be cool. And then this spell has a minimum duration of 1 turn. Okay, that just alters the duration of the spell, and then the spell effectiveness is increased 200%. I have seen good effects like that. Yeah, they do something that's not on this list where we get like a wild magic DPS surge. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's like it looks like a red sort of magical explosion that flowers out from under your feet, and any monsters that are in like 5 meters of you or like around you take a ton of damage. I don't know what it's called. I don't know how often it procs, but it's something that reminded me of that one there. So it looks like they got a bunch from this list, but we definitely have things that they added in our version on DDO that are not on this list. And I'm wondering if there's another source book for like the 5e rules. I'll do some research and see, but unless otherwise noted, all spells created by a wild surge occur in the designated area. It looks like they've implemented it basically like that. And that's pretty much it. Then they go into elemental wizards. But the last bit, we'll read through some of this because I think it's important. And finally, not even the randomness of wild surges should be allowed to ruin the story or adventure. An ultimate storyteller, an arbiter of the game, the DM can override any wild surge he deems too destructive to the adventure. If this happens, re-roll the dice. Clearly, wild mages are a risky proposition, not for every player. Not every player will want to play with wild magic. Not every party will want a wild mage. The DM should not add benefits to wild magic, hoping to make the class more attractive to his players. Players who like wild mages will play them without bribery. They will find the uncertainty and randomness of wild magic irresistible, while there are players for whom this is the player for whom wild magic was created. I think that's a really important point, and it's something that I have been sort of struggling with, the idea of who would want to deal with all of this random junk occurring in DDO, right? Because we see some really wild effects doing this wild magic where I'm thinking probably they would not want to take a wild mage on a raid just because a lot of the stuff that's happening is so unpredictable. But you can see right there that we just read it. It's built into the way that the magic was conceived. The whole idea of it is supposed to be random. So I think from a TR train perspective, I've been enjoying it for a couple reasons. One, it is enjoyable to see all this new weird stuff that can happen. The DPS is pretty good. And even the negative stuff, I mean, I'm able to sort of, survive it. But it's super easy to manage my mana on a wild sork. Like the mana, the SLAs are really good. I'm not worrying about drinking spell point potions or where the shrines are. I think it's something that's sort of revolutionary for sorcerer casting, because I've told the story before in the past. I used to main a sorcerer, and when Ravenloft first launched, I tried to do it. You go into the room where Strahd is at the table, and he tells you he's going to test you, and then he laughs and vanishes, and then all of a sudden those shadows of hate pop up out of the floor and all the ghosts. When I was first in there on my Sork, when that DLC first launched, I burned all my mana in that fight, and now I was brand new in there. It's the first time I was in the castle. I had no idea where the shrines were. I had no idea what to do next, but I had no mana. So it felt really frustrating because that was the first room, and I'm like, bro, like, what am I gonna do? I had to recall out, rest up at the shrine, and then go back in. I was doing it on Elite. Because I think Ravenloft came out before Reaper, or was right after Reaper was introduced. It was right around that time. But so I remember I was in on Elite. I just recalled, rested up, went back in, and I had to do that through that whole castle. I had no idea where the shrines were. You can dance those things? Yeah, that's good to know. I didn't know that. Um, I would assume because they are like chaos monsters that they won't take damage from my chaos magic, but I haven't tried it yet. We will try it. This green disease, you know, I can get rid of it. Otherwise, it resolves itself after like a couple of minutes. But not only is it's doing a slow effect as well as the poison effect or the disease effect. Yeah, reduces my constitution and slows my movement. So they did keep it kind of similar to what that list was talking about. And there I am, I'm turned to stone. You can see it was actually less than 5 seconds. It was more like 3 seconds. So I mean, from I feel like it should last a lot longer. I feel like I should have been turned to stone. And, you know, now I'm stuck as a statue. And somebody needs to help me. I think they did a really good job though. Like having read that, it sounds like the implementation of it is really close to what the original like creators of Wild Magic thought. Even though it's impossible to kind of implement a lot of the cool role-playing stuff, like falling in love with a target or altering an individual body part or you know things like that. I think they did a pretty decent job. I do think though that I want more polymorph abilities in this game. Like we can frog things, right? Alchemists can turn things to frogs. You can take Mass Frog at the top of Primal Avatar. Well, I think that if they gave us a polymorph spell as opposed to a frog, or maybe you pick what it is. Instead of turning something into a frog, you turn it into a sheep. Or you turn it into something else, and then it becomes just like a frog, right? As what happens with our frogs now. It basically would be considered like a death effect, right? Like if you turn an orc into a sheep, it's no longer a threat. You can just ignore it. For our purposes, the orc is dead. It's a sheep. And you can either leave the sheep like we do with our frogs. You can either leave the frogs or you can step on them or do whatever. I mean, I usually just leave them because if you're doing Reaper and you turn something into a frog, it just makes it more likely with that death that you'll get a Reaper to pop up. So I usually don't. I usually just ignore them. But I haven't heard whether or not you guys think that Wild Magic gives you more of a chance to see a Reaper. My understanding, I don't know if it's actually coded, but I feel like I see a lot more Reapers on my Wild Magic Sorcerer than when I'm on like a regular character. I don't know whether it's behind the scenes, built in. It would be nice if they made the code transparent. Oh, you haven't tried one yet? Yeah. You didn't want to do a Wild Magic Sorcerer for your death, your permadeath event? Just in case you have some random magical ailment occur. Really good for mana management. Yeah, I think it would be cool if everybody did a wild. Yeah, I think that would be cool. That is a pretty cool idea. I mean, that would be the true hardcore, right? To make everybody play the same build, like the same character. Everybody has to play, you know, like a fighter, a regular fighter or a regular rogue. And the game UI selects all of the abilities, so everybody's playing the exact same character. Who can do the best? That basically is very like what happens if you ever race a sailboat. They do class races where everybody is technically on the same ship. Now they do have like a guide for if you're gonna do the race. You know, if you were on like a laser and you were racing against somebody in a roads, there is like a way that they can sort of come up with like a means to gauge the speed on how fast you finish the race the same. But ideally everybody's doing like the class boat race in the same boat, like so everybody's in a laser, for example. And so I think that would be really cool for a hardcore event where everybody's playing the same character, right? So we need trappers, so right, make everybody a Warforged artificer, for example. Everybody's in the same build, and then let them all see who does it better. Who can do it the fastest? Who can stay alive the longest? That would be the real, you know, it'd be hard to do that though, right? You would have to come up with a server that really just did all the character selection stuff for you. And then the other thing too that you have to keep in mind, even if we were all on the same build with the same feats, people could change the way it functions because you could farm for different gear. But that would just be, you know, based on what you knew about the game versus somebody else and how much time you wanted to spend farming for specific gear. I think it would be really, really hard though to do hardcore league. You know, if everybody was forced to play like a melee rogue, for example, just because, or you know, like a crossbow using artificer. Even though a lot of people do play that anyway, it's, you know, not everybody likes that sort of game style. So I think it would be difficult. I think that would be a difficult challenge. It certainly would be hardcore. Another way to approach that sort of would be to come up with what we think collectively is the hardest class to play, like in DDO, and then make everybody play that, right? I mean, I think Rogue is super hard to play. I didn't really enjoy doing my Rogue past lives. Not that they're not good. They're really good, but it's just they don't do a lot of DPS, so it's difficult. Yeah, base class, base race. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm super confused why they haven't added... This is not really on the same topic, but why haven't they added Durgar? Why don't we have the ability to make a Durgar? I don't understand that. Because the Durgar's been in the game forever. Like, it's been in the game since, like, 2007. Like, I don't get why we can't make one. We can make deep gnomes, we can make dark elves, but we can't make a deep dwarf or whatever they, you know, a dark dwarf, I think they're called. They're in the game. They literally, we have the enlarged spell that they do. We have the, you know, the stats. They could easily implement it. It's just one of those things that they should implement just because they can. They shouldn't even, they should do it like they did horses. They shouldn't even talk about it. They should just be like one day, oh yeah, you got horses now. Like, oh yeah, right, dwarves can make Durgar now. Yeah. Yep. There you go.